All right, let's get started. Welcome to Fleet's live office hours. So as you might notice, I am different location today. I am back home in Austin, Texas. So hopefully the audio video may be a bit better than the last time. I know some people have complained about the keyboard clanking. So hopefully things will be better. Thanks for bearing with me. I'm still figuring this stuff out. So the purpose of these live office hours is to answer technical questions about Fleet, deployment configuration, code base, anything you're curious about. I'll try my best to figure it out. I definitely don't have all the answers, but at least I'll try to reason through things live and point you in the right direction. Couple items to notice. Some people with corporate YouTube accounts have had trouble posting in the chat. And that is because it's a YouTube requirement that you need to have a channel in order to post in the chat. So that means either create a channel if you're able to do that for your YouTube account, or use like a different YouTube account, like a personal account. Also, FYI, there's about a 10-second delay between your post and when I see it, so I might not respond to it. Also, as you might have noticed, Luke Heath is our CTO, and he is lurking in the chat today. So he might jump in if he's watching. All right, so if things are quiet in the chat, I'll work on some bugs or features from Fleet's GitHub. So feel free to hang out and see what I'm hacking on. So let's get started. I've had some requests to demonstrate how I use agentic AI in my day-to-day work. So I did want to kind of cover that. So it looks like there's no questions right now. So I'm going to go and jump into it. But I guess before that, let me just kind of summarize my thoughts a little bit. So obviously, agentic AI is helpful in software development, and many people, think it's going to speed up. Hi, Andrew. It's going to speed up development, and generally I agree with that assessment. It's also kind of changing how software developers work. So I'm going to kind of focus on, day-to-day what you're doing. But I feel like there's like two different workflows. One workflow is if you've got like a big feature, big critical feature with lots of complexity. In that case, you kind of AI agent is almost like your bottleneck, because you're trying to get it to do stuff, review what it did, and while you're working on this big task, you don't want to be switching to other tasks, because that's going to be a distraction. While the other workflow is more like a parallel workflow, like that's what the hype is about, where multiple people, a person is using like multiple agents to do like different tasks. So I'm going to try to show a little bit of the parallel workflow. The parallel workflow kind of works when the tasks are not too complex, because there's a mental switching cost when going from task to tasks, and if the tasks are complex, then that switching cost is going up. So if you're doing things in parallel, you don't want to be doing complicated things in parallel. You want to be doing things that are more straightforward in parallel. All right, let me turn the screen off. All right, so we have Fleet here. And there is two things I want to be working today. One, there's a bug from customer. There's kind of a proposal direction where we want to go to that. And another task I want to be working on is this new story, a new feature. And it's already in progress, so I feel like the difficult part of this has been done. So let me go ahead and explain what this feature is about. So so as an IT admin, I want to configure webhook and ticket policy automations for no team. So in Fleet, we have this concept of old team, team, and no team. Old teams is basically settings that apply to everyone, generally speaking. And then each team can have a setting. And then we have this concept of no team. I hope that's going to be renamed to default team because I think that's a little clearer. So currently we're missing some settings for this default/no team. So in this case, we're talking about webhook and ticket policy automations. So let me see, if I go here, I go to policies and I pick no team. So I have a policy here. I created a while ago, and I go to manage automations. And some things are here, calendar, software, scripts, and some things are missing. So if let me find another team with a policy. Okay, this demo team has a policy. So here, if I go to manage automations, I see other. It says create tickets or fire webhooks for failing policies. So this story is asking us to add this functionality for no team. So just jumping back. So we have, we go here, we can pick between ticket and webhook. To be honest, I'm not sure if you can have both. It looks like it's either one or the other. So where this ticket is at now, I have coded up the webhook section of it. So I did test it. Just on the back end, the UI portion is missing. So I want to add the ticket portion. So we have a PR for the webhook portion over here. So we have a PR. So let's go ahead and start talking to our AI agent. Let me think. So the thing with parallel workflow is I have to have two work areas where I'm working. They're not like truly parallel. I'm only like running one Fleet server right now. Also, that may change. So I got to think like which one of these I'm going to use where I'm going to need to run the actual server. Probably I'll run the server on the bug fix, because with the bug fix, it's going to be quicker. So I'll probably need to kind of QA it manually. All right, so. Okay, but the problem I start as okay, I'm gonna switch it because I already started on the bug fix over here. All right, so just ignore the text over here. So so let's just start writing. So we're going to be extending the feature request. Which adds ticket automation and webhooks to failing policies. We already have a PR. And you know, I need to switch to this branch. 31267 no team. 31267 no team. Okay, we already have a PR to add webhooks. Add ticket automation and webhooks to failing policies for no team. To be specific, we already have a PR to add webhooks. Take a look at the changes in this PR and make an implementation plan to add the changes for ticket automation. For ticket automation, the PR is, what was the last number? Paste it again. Okay, so put the plan in. Do I have a directory for plans? Cloud plans. I actually made a directory just where the plans go, just so it doesn't. AI agent oftentimes creates a bunch of files and just confusing. I just want to keep them there. So I mean, this is pretty generic, right? I'm not doing anything special. It's not coding anything. I just wanted to make a plan. So it's going to take a while. So meanwhile, you know, I kind of understand what needs to be done here. So it's not like, you know, I could be doing other things here. I could be like planning how I'm going to test it. Maybe looking at the CI, fixing some tests, some you know, automated review comments, things like that. So while that's running, let's switch to the bug. All right, so we have a customer who is doing live queries, and live query results are being delayed by about a minute. And through the help of our infrastructure team, Robert specifically, we have identified that the issue is that the table where all these results are going is getting too many entries, right? You can imagine you're running a live query maybe on 50,000 hosts. 50,000 rows goes into that table. 30 minutes later, you're running another query. Maybe you're running a lot of queries. Like in a single day, foreseeable, you can have 1 million rows in this table. And we're kind of using this table to cross-reference the live query campaign that's happening with the hosts. So the proposal, there is a workaround. We have this thing called host expiry settings. I'll go ahead and show where that is. If you go to settings, advanced options, host expiry. So the problem is, let me host expiry. No, not host expiry. Delete activities. Why am I talking about host expiry? Am I confused? Nice. Okay, this is wrong. Let me fix this issue so that anyone looking at this is not confused. Let me go ahead. I'm just going to go straight to the database and grab what's in the database. It's activity expiry settings right here, not host expiry settings. Copy paste activity true. There we go. Activity. You can set the activity expiry window. Yes. It's all valid. All right. Okay, where were we? Okay, settings. Yes, max activity age. By default, it's 30, 60, and 90. The reason it's 7 is because I actually did the call to set it to 7. So this is kind of a general cleanup job. It cleans up old activities and also cleans up a few other things, including campaigns. So I guess it's a little bit of a hidden functionality. It's like you kind of use this general thing to basically kind of interpret it as like you're cleaning up your activities. So that means you're not interested in auditing what was happening in Fleet past 30 days, 60 days, whatever. So we're going to go ahead and clean up a few other things that we're keeping around just in case you needed to audit it. So the thing that we need to clean up, the thing that's slowing down live queries, is this distributed query campaign target table. And you know, I don't know all the answers. I did ask the plan's already made, so I'll continue on this thought before jumping back. One issue is parallels. You have to do a lot of jumping back, but I did ask my agent, so I'm using Claude Code here, the $200 a month plan. I did ask it to kind of suggest what to do, and yes, it did say, you know, add it to cleanup jobs, to clean up that table. It suggested a retention hours, 24 hours, but I feel like 24 hours could still cause an issue. Like I was saying, if you're running a query on 50,000 hosts every 30 minutes, you're going to fill up that table with over 1 million rows. Once you get over 1 million, things are going to start being noticeably slow. I think 24 hours is good, but I think we want to also see if we can speed up that table. So I notice this table has a index by ID. Why isn't it indexed by distributed query campaign or target ID? So first I want to kind of explore that idea. So I'll go ahead and ask this guy. I'm also interested in speeding up the access to the table, which is copy and paste distributed query campaigns target. Based on the access patterns you see in the code base, suggest is there a better index that we can use for that table? That means if we add an index, it means a migration. We probably want to clean it up before we do the migration. Okay, I'll just ask it. Okay, shifting gears, right? So we're going to be shifting gears from the story and the bug. All right, so here we're adding tickets. Okay. Let's take a look at its plan. Where did it put the plan? Engineering README? No. I told it to put in Claude plans or something. Claude plans. Ticket automation. All right, let's take a look at the plan. Only webhook. Yes, we support Jira and Zendesk right now. The idea there is if your policy fails, we'll file a ticket to Jira and Zendesk. Yes, I agree. Already contains. Yes, I agree. No additional database changes. Yes, we need to do this. So I just heard a sound, so that means the other job is done, right? So I'm using a audio cue to switch between my AI agents. So typically when you're working on things in parallel, you're gonna have one task that's like critical. So I'm kind of using that audio cue to see like, oh, I need to go back because AI agents are still kind of early, and they're inefficient. So sometimes they ask questions too much. They're not as autonomous. Sometimes they mess up. They still require a lot of hand-holding. I believe that's probably going to become better, probably in the next few months, where they can run more autonomously. Because what you really want to do is you want to say like, okay, I'm done for the day, but here's like 3 things I'd like you to work on, and like I'm not going to be here to help you, so just do as much as you can and like write me up a report. And when I come back the next morning, like I want to see what you did, right? That's kind of, I think, where a big gain is going to come from these AI agents actually working on their own while you're off the clock, so to speak. All right, let's go back to here. Modify to add payload integration. Yes, that makes sense. But I feel like this code could be shared between team and no team. We can fix that later. API endpoint updates, yes. GitOps support. It's missing generate GitOps, or does it? GitOps configuration, validation, dry run, yes, 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 all good. Tests, test, integration test, documentation, implementation steps. It is missing generate GitOps. It does say this. Is this a hard requirement right now for normal teams? Actually, this is actually a bad question for Claude, because it's going to be slow, because it's going to be using grep to find this information. So when I'm asking questions about a code base like this, I actually want to use cursor or get unblocked. It's because it's just faster. Get unblocked, ask new questions. Is this a hard requirement for team configs? The reason this is unblocked is faster is because it creates a vector database of the entire code base. So it's able to do a semantic search on this query locally. Then it takes the results, feeds those to the LLM, and then it does additional processing to get your results. It's fairly quick. Hard requirement, yeah. Okay. So I want to say generate GitOps is missing, because generate GitOps is a new feature, so we have the GitOps config, but sometimes our customers don't have a GitOps config, but they already kind of used ClickOps to configure things, and they want to create a GitOps config. I don't see generate GitOps mentioned in the plan. If generate GitOps is missing from the plan, maybe other things are missing. Make sure it is included. Also do another pass for the PR changes for webhook to make sure you're not missing anything else. It doesn't hurt for it to check itself, right? It's a common pattern. You see AI is not quite doing something right, you tell it to try again or work harder, or there's some keywords you can use like ultra think, specifically for Cloud Code. So if things are not going, if something seems off, you want it to kind of review its work, basically. All right, back to this guy. I told it about indexing. Okay. What did it say? Yes, significant performance issue, access patterns. So this should be an index. Like maybe like 1,000,000 rows, not that much, right? I'm saying it's a lot, but I'm just wondering if just adding an index is enough for this. Select one, distribute query campaign, delete ID, distribute query. It's always distribute query campaign ID. I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense, like totally makes sense. I mean, I thought, before I kicked off this query, I thought we would want a key on distributed query campaign ID and target ID. Read my mind. I see. Distributed query campaign type target ID. Oh, what is the type? Back to the fast search. What is the type in table? What does it stand for? That's what I mean. Come on, you can do it. We're targeting a team or we're targeting a host. Okay, that's label, a host, or a team. Okay. All right. Sorry, I was didn't see the chat. I see Andrew has a question. How do you feel the AI does with holding the whole code base in context? I find at a certain point the project becomes too big for the A to be very helpful. To be honest, I haven't seen that big of an issue. What I see is I'm using Claude, and at some point it compresses its context. So it's compressing it. It's true that after working for a while, sometimes I would ask it to do something and like it wouldn't do it the way I wanted it to be done, like earlier in the conversation, like hours before or maybe a day before. So it's true, it is losing some information. But so far it hasn't been like a huge problem. Like it's it just happens occasionally. Like occasionally I notice like, okay, I told you to do something and you're not doing it. Thanks for the question, Andrew. So let me finish this one. Yep, this is fine. Yes, this is fine. Please add the migration. Make sure the name of the index matches the style of the existing code base. Check other migrations for reference. Okay. Okay, CDD has a question. I noticed a few dead links in the Fleet docs using Fleet. I attempt to make a pull request, but I can't suggest edit since it's missing some MD files. Thought I'd report it. Few dead links. I agree. It's quite possible we have some dead links. I had the impression we were checking for those, but maybe it's not working so well. I attempted a pull request, right? So to make a pull request, you need to clone the Fleet repository, right? You have to have your own version and then make a pull request from your branch to Fleet. I mean, that's the way you would do it. Now I am like part of the Fleet organization, so I'm allowed to create branches in the Fleet repo. But normally, anyone who is not part of the Fleet organization needs to create their own, clone the repo, and then make a PR from their repo or from a branch in their repo. So, I mean, that should work for you. Let me know if if not. You want me to make this edit? Hold on, there's a should be allowing edits. I forgot how to do that. Shift tab. Command tab. All right. Oh, here we go. Shift tab. It says shift tab. Shift tab. Okay. Okay, I see. Yep. Thanks for the comments. Looks like Luke is helping out. Thanks, Luke. Cancel this. I have you see Cloud Code has a little bit integration with my IDE. You know, this thing comes up where I can look at the changes and click apply. Normally I don't bother because like it's maybe editing multiple files and it just slows me down. What I like to do is for it to make the edits and then go back and take a look at the edits it made. So where's the file edit? Here we go. Git add to VCS. It's a brand new file. Let's take a look at it. Like, this is like simple, right? This is what AI is good for, just like making these small changes. And, you know, I see it's using a different name. So yeah, so it's using more of the style that our code base uses as opposed to the original name it mentioned. Add index, distribute query campaign ID. That's reasonable. We do not actually use the down migrations. Like it doesn't hurt, but it might just be confusing to people. So I'll just remove it. And then it did create a test. In this case, we don't actually need a test, but it did create one. So since it created one, like I'm not actually going to check this in because I don't think this simple migration needs a test, but I'm going to go ahead and run it. Before I do that, let me make sure my SQL test database, right? So I'm actually having multiple SQL databases running, right? So we've got a database running just for this work area for my Fleet 2 work area. I have a database, and then I've got another database, and everything else running for the other thing. All right. I expect this will pass. In fact, Claude should have ran this and made sure it passed. All right, there's a lot of stuff in the chat. All right, well, thank you for reporting issues, and thank you, Luke, for answering questions. Okay, so this is a little bit annoying, or at least I'm annoyed with I'm annoyed that Claude didn't figure this out. 0820. I see. That's the problem. Oh, okay, that's the problem. I think the date is bad. Oh man. 0827. Oh, it's my bad. This is from another migration. Wow. I'm gonna delete it. I'll just for completeness add a test for this migration and make sure it passes. Wow. Yeah, like usually before I did this before. Usually Claude creates a migration and a test, and I don't always use the test. I don't always check in the test, but at least run it. Okay, that's doing the test running. Let's go back here. Let's see what it did. Made a comprehensive plan. Generate GitOps. That's fine. Database migration details. We don't actually need a migration here, right? It still agrees that we don't need a migration here. Included mock implementation and helper functions. I think it's like the data store, like, yeah, I mean, this is not needed for what we're trying to do right here. It already exists. Validation functions, so you just added more detail. Reordered priorities, okay. And I like sometimes it like puts in timelines. It'll say like 1 to 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks. All of this can be done in a single day. Okay. Implement step 1 only. Because I wanted to do step 1, then I want to go and check it. So let's switch to the other one. There we go. Parallel AI agentic migration passed successfully. Do I trust it? I trust it. Okay, so we have a migration. So now we want to do the cleanup. Okay. I don't know if it remembers what it told me before about doing the cleanup. So I just want to make sure it does it the right way. So I wanted to make a plan first. I'm going to scroll back. Add cleanup function. Let's go ahead. Option 1, add a dedicated cleanup for campaign targets. So I wanted to make a plan just like I did with the other guy, and this plan will go into Claude Plans. Make a plan for implementing option 1, and put it into Claude Plans. directory. Okay. And sometimes you get to this situation, you got two AI agents running and you're wondering whether you can start a third one. It rarely happens. But as agents are able to do more by themselves, that is going to happen. So I've got two running. So I could go back to our bug backlog and start working on a third bug, right? I would create a new work area, clone another version of Fleet, spin up another database, and just start working on the third issue in parallel. Just updating the plan because it create implementation plan. Oh, sorry, sometimes I get confused which one's doing what. All right. Clean up campaign targets. Let's look at that plan. Clean up campaign targets. Okay, problem statements. Yes, yes. Dedicated cleanup function. Clean up completed campaign targets. Targets for campaigns completed more than 24 hours ago. Batch deletion. Reasonable. Okay, just talking about the query itself. Query complete, updated at older than. So notice that this specific table that we're cleaning up doesn't have a timestamp. But this one does. Okay, so we're looking at distributed query campaigns, looking at the timestamps there. And based on those timestamps, we're deleting the rows in distributed query campaign targets. Okay. Integrated cleanup jobs. Handle empty targets gracefully. Document that empty results are expecting for all campaigns. That is like API documentation. That is fine. That is fine. We can document that. That's going to be a customer-facing documentation. I don't think this is needed because we're not going to be streaming for over 24 hours. So let's just double check. Right, I'm talking about like you start a campaign, you say I'm going to run these queries on these hosts. And I believe we kill a campaign if it's been running for over 24 hours. So let's make it do some analysis. I believe we kill campaigns that run for over 24 hours, correct? This means no one should still be streaming results after 24 hours, right? This means that the following change should not be needed, right? Empty target configuration. We're not gonna be adding new environmental variables here. That's additional configuration space, which we will add if customers or users request it. So sometimes this happens, like AI agent is doing stuff, and then I wanted to do other stuff, and then I feel like there should be a queue. I should be able to, like, after you're done with this, like, do this. And there's a meme going around. You're absolutely right. because this is like, it says this like very frequently. Waiting campaigns timeout after 1 minute. Okay, no one can actively streaming older than 24 hours. Yes. 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 No one will be trying. Okay, so that means I assume it removed that. Like, okay. Remove that point from the plan. Also remove these env variables. We will not add new configuration variables. Instead, we will use constants in Go code. Metrics logging. Log number of targets deleted, track cleanup duration, monitor for errors. Okay. Like, what is it talking about? Testing. Okay. Migration rollout. Man, this is like, you know, this plan makes this change big, seem much bigger than it actually is. Okay, switching back to the other guy. So it actually did some implementation. Let's see what it did. Modified 2 files, that's reasonable. Teams.go, integration and price test. Can I collapse this? Modify default team config. Why does it need the app config here? Modify default team config, yes. Oh, because the details for Jira and Zendesk are in app config. So this is the kind of thing that I wanted to go back to, because the question is like, okay, why are we adding brand new code here? Can we reuse code that we already have for normal teams, right? Can we reuse this validation code from normal teams? So this change it made, it also added config test. I also questioned this test. Question this test because we're going to be adding tests for GitOps already. So I'm not sure we need this test. So there we go. AI agent did a little bit of work, and I'm not sure about much of it. Sorry, which line was that? 1853. So there is a kind of integration that happens between Cloud Code and this IDE. So if I highlight all of this, it's going to become part of the context for the next question. You added validation. Oh, no, it is reusing. Validate enabled failing policies team integrations. This, so we are reusing code, that's good. Currently not supported. Okay, if one of these is set. Okay, cool, this is fine. Integrations must be unique, validate. That seems reasonable because we can have a lot of integrations, right? We can have an array. Okay. So on second thought, this seems reasonable. App config. You know, like what I try to do is as I'm reviewing it, if the changes are small, I want to make them myself because it actually takes longer for the agent to make small changes. So like I would actually put this here because it's only being used here. I do question the need for this test. Do we actually need the new test? Specifically, I'm asking, do other config options have their own dedicated integration test? We will be adding GitOps tests later that will exercise this API. Which makes it seem like this test would be a duplicate. All right, back to this text. See, I'm gonna have to switch context here. Like, what is going on here? Updated the plan. What did I tell it? I told it to get rid of stuff. Okay. All right. So we all agreed on the plan, so we can start the implementation. Oh. What are you specifically planning to do for metrics logging? Are you following the existing patterns in this code base? And do we actually need, yeah. What I'm trying to say is if we don't have an existing pattern for metrics logging, I guess logging is fine. Log number of targets, track cleanup duration, monitor for errors. You know, I think this is fine. I think it's just going to be logging, right? It's going to calculate those numbers and log them out, and that's good for debug. So forgot the key, the Linux keystroke to delete the whole line. All right, so we're gonna start with phase 1. Do the implementation of phase 1 only. Phase 1 is cleanup function to data store. Okay, I asked about the tests. I still remember. Okay. Make a valid point. Keep the dedicated test. Webhooks have their own tests. Oh man. I wonder if we can merge. Well, the reason webhooks have their own test is because we're actually, it's a full integration test. We're actually making sure the webhook fired. So it makes sense to have a test here because we want to then expand this test to actually make sure the Zendesk Jira information was sent. Okay, so I'm not gonna go into the details. We got 3 minutes left. Well, I might as well ask it. I'm not gonna. What I want to know is do we have integration tests for Jira and Zendesk that actually make sure we exercise the API for sending data to them? I can ask that in unblocked. Do we have integration tests for Jira and Zendesk that test that the APIs for sending data to those ticketing systems actually worked? Make it generic. We can dive in later. Mock, okay. Mock assimilate. Apply test. Let me just do a search. Maybe it's faster. Zendesk test external integrations team config. Yeah, this is fine. Patch. We're just making sure we can configure. We're not actually testing to make sure it gets triggered here. This is a lot of tests here. Much more than this new one. Okay, find the test where we use the API to configure Zendesk or Jira, and then make sure they are triggered by the automation job. Let's see if we can find it. It's 12 o'clock, actually. So thank you everyone for joining. I tried to explain what I was doing. I feel like when I'm doing it just by myself, this AI workflow is a little bit faster, but I try to make sure I explain what I'm doing and try to be, helpful. Thanks for everyone for watching. Thank you for your questions, and I hope to see you again in about 2 weeks. Thanks, everyone.